So I'll take up a couple of next ones. I didn't want to feel left out. And Nikhil, will come to you. One of the questions was, does it make sense to target B2C companies for revenue as compared to B2B if the product has capability to serve all segments? And this was asked by somebody anonymous, but I'll answer this. I think coming back to what Shashank was saying, I think that's the wrong lens to look at this. Look at where the value proposition is higher. So for example, just from the people in this, on this discussion, right? If you feel there's Shashank on the B2B side and then there is Nikhil on the B2C side, see where there is more immediate value to be given. And as Shashank said on the hybrid side, I would say a little more on the cost saving side, because there are very, very limited channels to grow revenue at this point anyway. So I think B2C or B2B both will grow, because you're all, on the B2C side, you're also seeing a big basket really, really go well, while on a B2B side, there are these SaaS companies also doing well. So I think that would probably be the better lens. Then just one more question I think came around partnerships, which was how to identify a good partner, and should you how to inquire this. I think identification of a good partner is I think more of an art than a science. It's largely, I think you have to look at certain cues. I don't think you can depend on anybody else but yourself, at least at the early stage, to take some of these things up. As I said, cues range from, there could be past history of how they've worked. I don't think taking a benchmark of a large company partnership works at all, because large companies work very differently. Start small, start having those conversations about real benefit between your customers and their customers, and take it from there. I think speaking to their team, they'll be biased. I think you have to inquire yourself and then make it more collaborative. That's probably the best way to go with it in terms of partnerships. Nikhil, next one to you. I think this is more. What do you think of the future of public gyms?
That's an interesting question. So I think it's the next couple of months going to be obviously very difficult. Gyms, even if they start opening in the next few months, it'll take some time for consumers to go back to their centers and for gyms to really make enough money. I mean, gyms have always worked in the model where you need to sell about 300% to be able to even sustain, right? You're always oversubscribing in general as a model. They definitely are it's going to be difficult for the next couple of months, but I do feel that over the next 12 months, it should return to normalcy, because the growth of the market will definitely supersede in both aspects when it comes to digital as well as offline. So I don't see the industry collapsing. I see the industry growing quite massively. Obviously, the percentage of pie going to digital is going to increase, but that doesn't mean that offline is going to just vanish away. It will, I think it will continue to support, and it will, I think both of it will feed off each other for sure.
Okay. I think Sanjay has to drop off. Before that, actually, guys, apart from writing the questions, if you want to ask the question, please raise your hands. Meanwhile, I think Sanjay has to drop off. Any last questions to Sanjay?
No, I'm okay. I'm okay for another 10 minutes. Before that, Jitesh, did you have any ones you've curated, or should we go to the next?
No, I think we can move on to asking people to raise hands. That's okay. Keshav, will you take this up?
Yeah. Just make me a host. Okay, I will just.
Sure.
Just right click and make me a host. Change the host to this thing. Okay, good. Okay, guys, those guys who raise the hands, please make sure it is only related to the sales. Okay, I don't want any funding questions, generic questions, please. Job questions, nothing. It has to be this thing. Okay. First is actually we go with the Deepesh Goel. Deepesh, you can ask your question.
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, Deepesh, we can hear you.
Go ahead.
Okay, I have posted this question on the question and answer tab also. I'll just read that. So my question is spin technique of selling skills relevant today? And spin stands for what sales guy asks customer, that is situational questions, problem questions, investigative question, and neat way of question. I mean, that is the traditional way of selling. So is this relevant today in the virtual world?
Who's taking it up?
Shashank, will take it up, or should I take it?
So I can, yeah. So I think now most of the digital strategies have evolved from offline strategies itself. I think it may it be value selling or situational. All of these can be very well taken in an inside sales or an online approach as well. Things don't change significantly. I think you need to add on to certain elements when you are when you're taking a digital approach, right from making sure, I mean smaller things like, right, making sure you're opening it right, etc. But most of the techniques that have worked offline do work online as well.
Yeah, next is Timothy.
Hi. Hi everyone. I'm Timothy, and I have a startup called as Coursebook. And what Coursebook does is we help educators to create, market, and sell their courses online. And we also help educators to deliver their courses to the students through videos and live classes. So quick question is, we have sales in India, we have a few paying customers. But when we spoke to a lot of people and also investors, they have told us to launch a product in the US to gain better traction and more sales. So we are having plans of launching in the US. So I would like your opinions and views. So if at all we're launching, how what would be the best way to get our initial 100 customers or initial 100 clients in the US?
Yeah, sure. I can start with that, and y'all can come in. I think the sector is actually made in a sense. I mean, it's definitely a tailwind, right? If you look at EdTech, you just think about all the universities. Every single university from Stanford to Harvard to IITs are basically closed, and they moved to the virtual, to virtual. So in that sense, I think the way the future of learning, like the future of work, has changed. Whether it's a student, so in one sense that you already have the attention, and you don't have to sell that to the consumer or to the student, that you can be taught or learning can be done virtually. So I would, you can get started. You don't even really need funding. If you, I think, find an interesting distribution channel. The distribution channel could be another partnership. Jitesh was talking about innovative partnerships, and just find a way that you can get the product out, get some acceptance. In other sectors like classic enterprise B2B, you really have to have that salesperson, long enterprise sales cycle. Here, if you've got a good product and distribution, you can get started. I would say, get it out on a trial basis, get some traction. And the investors, you heard this line, right? That investors invest in a line, not in a point. I would start soon, find a distribution, and just show how your traction is changing over time. I think EdTech, you're positioned really well. So actually, this could be an interesting opportunity for you.
I'll just add to that. Timothy, if you could clarify.
Sorry, we have a lot of questions. We can take it. Sorry. Sorry. Somebody. Sorry, I thought Timothy's asking.
No, I just wanted to add.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think no problem.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No problem. So Timothy, just to add to Sanjay's point, I think new market expansion is extremely tough. And despite it being an English-speaking country, the US is a different beast, going through different challenges at this point, which I think you have to factor in. I think the logical way generally for any product to approach there is to have local people there as your advocates. Any white guy, no offense, traditionally at least, take their time in warming up to anybody else. So that factor certainly has to be kept in mind. So I think when you're going about this, I think you really do your research around who that kind of people would be. Obviously, things like budgets, etc., will be a factor. So can you get, and these are numbers in dollars now, right? Not even rupees. So I think you really have to take a hard look as to how you can sell this. If you think you can get these people digitally, then probably running a A/B test over just over marketing channels could be a great way to start in terms of traditional online ads, because it's about getting educators on board. But otherwise, I think if you're requiring somebody locally, it's extensive research. Unfortunately, answering it on a short call like this is impossible. But I think please take a hard look around that, because if you treat it the other way, where if somebody was coming to sell it to you, how would you react? right? So I think that could be a good way, but certainly digital testing probably is the first way to go.
Keshav, let me add just 30 seconds on this, and you will understand because you're on both sides. Timothy, I think you asked the question. I think it's very important to remember, make that international move because you as the founder believe in it. Don't do it because the investors ask you to do it. I think this is very important, right? You could say, oh, Mr. Investor, you asked me to do it. Now I've done it. Now fund me, right? You have to believe that that's the right thing for you to do. And international doesn't have to be the US, right? Today you're seeing markets open up in Australia, Southeast Asia. The world has been great. So do it because you believe in it, not because the investors ask you to do it.
Yeah, next is Sayan Paul. Sayan, can you ask your question? Or Padma Rajagopalan.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Padma, we can hear you.
Yeah. Thanks so much. This was very informative. I have my own company where we sell imported instrumentation and mainly pharmaceutical companies as solutions to monitor processes, to check if the processes are in place. This is, as of now, a non-essential.
Padma, what is the question?
Yeah. The question is like, at this point of time, we keep doing demos to help customers online in their sites. And now this has put everything out of gear. I don't know how it's going to open up and when. So what are the options to still keep customers engaged in us? Because this is still non-essential. I mean, it's not extremely essential, but this is an upbeat market.
Maybe Shashank, Nikhil, you can take that.
Sure. So yeah, again, as I was mentioning earlier as well, I think that, today the best way is going to be video, right? Whatever, you were trying to do in the past physically, you will have to somehow try to convert that to video. It may not have the same level of impact. You may not be able to cover every aspect that you used to do in the past. And that could be potentially replaced with maybe animations and things like that. But the way to go is video. And with respect to video, it need not always be completely just a recorded one, right? As I was saying earlier, there are a lot of tools today. One tool I mentioned was Loom, Loom, where you can, while you're presenting, you can also have your face alongside, and you can kind of explain to the prospect what are the different aspects, and so on and so forth, right? And in general, today is a great time to establish thought leadership in a particular space, right? Given that, you are in a sector which caters to pharma companies and so on, and they'll all have to scale manufacturing in the coming months and quarters. At least that's what's expected. Today is a great time to focus a lot on also creating different kinds of content. So video was specifically my suggestion for demos, but in general, writing articles, writing blogs, even doing podcasts with a few, senior pharma executives, you could do a bunch of different things, right? Which all establish, at least on a particular channel. It could be LinkedIn or it could be some other place, but in your specific sector, I feel LinkedIn would probably be best. But at least on LinkedIn, establish yourself as that thought leader of sorts who knows a lot about this space, so that the next time anybody's thinking about it, you're one of the first people, which other people are tagging on comments or saying, hey, you should definitely go speak to this person, etc. Right? So today should be focused a lot on creating that content, so that in the future, people can kind of discover that and reach out to you, and those can become prospective leads. I hope that helps.
Okay, last two questions actually.
Yeah. Hi, sorry. I think you'd call my name Shayan. I'm Shayan here.
Yes,
yeah,
sure.
Yeah. I was just telling that my question is how, we are doing both marketing as well as one-on-one, communicating one-on-one. So what do you think is a major way? So we are B2B business. So we sell analytics to businesses. So so we are planning for so which of them is a better, so how do I, if I have to divide times, or if I have to divide how much money on that? So should I divide more time on LinkedIn one-on-one communication, or should I spend more time on marketing and generating content?
Okay. Sanjay, you want to take or?
Jitesh,
So I mean,
distribution partnership.
yeah. So I think coming, Sayan, I think to your point, I think this is as Shashank was also saying. I think it may not be a bad time to reach out one on one, because if you're selling to a business where you can get access to a decision maker directly, it might be a good idea to experiment with that. That being said, I think at the same time, communication becomes equally important. So what you're talking to them about at this time, I don't think should be the same as what you would have done normally, right? So I would say that probably would be higher in priority to get at least one-on-one FaceTime, and followed by probably regular drip campaigns, etc. Shashank, maybe you can add.
Yeah, I think it's important for, since you asked specifically about time management between the two, I think it's important to figure out where the problem lies today, right? Is it a top funnel problem today, or you have enough prospects, leads, or etc., but you're not able to convert as many as you would like, right? So both of those, depending upon the problem, will have a very different outlook on time. So if the top funnel is a problem, yes, you need to invest in webinars. If you're a B2B company, you need to invest in maybe more blogs, even live videos, etc., because you're trying to increase your top funnel and get awareness out to more and more people, right? And all of these are time-tested kind of ways to do so. If the actual challenge is in that there are enough leads, but there are not enough conversions, that is, you're getting into enough one-to-one conversations, but it's not converting, then there is something off in the way the communication is happening on the value proposition, or on the price, or on the need itself of the prospect, and thereby the quality of the prospect or the lead, right? So you would have to dig deeper to understand which one of the three is that. Are customers telling you, hey, it's too expensive, hence I'm not going to buy? Or they're saying that today is not relevant to me, or it's too much integration headache, and hence I don't want to take it up, right? So the idea has to be that which aspect, I think I would always put a lot time basis problem. So whichever is the hardest problem, I'll try and go spend the most amount of time there, because especially as a founder, because if I'm able to solve that problem out, then the team can kind of take it on from there on, right? So that's the way I would look at it. So I think you should really look at your funnels and data and see at least whatever limited you may have, right? And see where, what do you want more? Do you want more conversations to convert, or do you want more people potentially asking for your solution, and thereby, you're confident of converting, right? So if answering that question will answer your time question.
Okay, last two questions. Sorry, actually, I think I allowed already. Sindhuri.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. My question is for Shashank. Hi, Shashank. And thank you. This has been a great panel. Thank you all for such great insights. So essentially, I run a digital marketing company. We do paid AdWords, paid as well as organic ads. And
I think we lost Sindhuri. Am I right?
work, pre-COVID compared to what was earlier committed, and to now what it is. Yes, that's me.
Hi, can you
Right.
just repeat your
So my
question?
question is, how do we work around a situation? My question is, how do we address existing current clients who want a lot of work done, without underselling our.
I think we lost her. Let's take the question from the Sudha. Sindhuri, I think there is a small issue with this. Sudha, can you go ahead with your question? Sudha, you have to unmute. Okay, I think Sudha also is not actually. That's it. I think let's.
Yeah. Hello. Able to hear?
Yeah, Sudha, we can hear you. Yeah. Go ahead.
See, actually, I'm a fashion-based company, and just 1.5 years old. Basically, I was working online with boutique at my home. So now, since it's a non-essential good, I want to understand how I can use this time to create more customers, and how can I service them?
Nikhil, you want to take?
Yeah. I think the answer here is so one is obviously from a servicing standpoint, we'll have to wait till eh, delivery systems etc. are on track. But I think this is a good time to be able to establish thought leadership in the same lines as what Shashank was talking about from a B2B context. I think it's a time where you can engage with your consumers, and fashion is probably a vertical where there's a lot of content which is consumed. It's a good time to be able to work on that. Second is, I think, being able to figure out ways so there are obviously opportunities to be able to sell and create. Like, I mean, I'm not very sure about the way your business functions, but I'm seeing if, businesses across spectrums who are pivoting or making small changes to be able to capitalize on things. I mean, I'm seeing football coaching being done online as well, for example, and there obviously are ways in which you can monetize even at these times, depending on business to business. But even when you can't, I think it's a great time to be able to work on things where how can you remain on top of the mind when the person thinks about fashion or being able to purchase something within your category.
Okay, guys, I think with that, actually, let me end this. Special thanks to the Blume and obviously our sponsors, Niti Ayog, Shashank and Nikhil. Thank you very much for taking out all your time. Actually, it's a wonderful audience. They stayed, actually, at least 200 plus people stayed back till the end. Sanjay, special thanks to you. Actually, I know that there are less questions to you, unlike the funding questions. Okay.
That's a problem, Keshav, if there are less questions.
Keshav, a VC is always happy when the portfolio founders take all the questions, which means that the VC is doing a good job.
Okay, so it's a wonderful, guys. Actually, so we will back tomorrow at finance for startup, which is a very, very important. Actually, with that note, actually, I will let's say once again thanks to the Blume team. Okay, thank you, guys.
Thanks to you, Keshav. Thanks to the SNL team of
Thank you.
having all
Thanks,
of us
everyone.
here. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Jitesh, for moderating as well. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. I left my email as well in the chat box if anything we can do to help offline.
So, we will share
For the last
yeah.
Okay, guys. Thank you very much. Bye bye.